Yeah, I guess I have to mention a couple of lines just because I think they're so well written. Um, when Darth Vader's helmet is cut in half, there, one of the things he says to Obi-Wan, "Anakin is gone. What I
Mm.
am, what remains." I mean, like that's up there for me with any epic line in Star Wars, with any and that's one of the things I really hope for with this rematch of the century, with this lightsaber battle. um, I really hoped it would be in the style of the Luke and Vader fights from the Empire Strikes Back and from Return of the Jedi, where I mean, arguably it's less to do with what they're doing with their lightsabers and more to do with what they're saying to each other. And you put these two characters in a space together with their lightsabers so that they can duel with words as much as, the physical duel. And I felt like this totally lived up to that. And because there's so many just fantastic, like, all-time Star Wars lines. I feel like they're going to be all-time Star Wars lines from this episode. So Anakin's gone. I am what remains. So great. And then, he tells him, Anakin, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all of it. It's so good. And it's just one of those things where it's like, if the line was just, I'm sorry one time, I mean, essentially he's saying the same thing, right? But there's something about the repetition. There's something about the phrasing. I'm sorry for all of it. The almost like vagueness of a statement like that. I'm sorry for all of it. It's such good writing. I think it was just amazing.
Yeah, I think the one thing that was missing from the whole fight, and we were talking about it a little bit, was you're going into this episode, and Padme has been kind of danced around the past 5 episodes, right? Like the name's never really said, but she's a constant presence. And part of me, especially rewatching Revenge of the Sith and it being her last words, right? Like they're still good in him. Obi-Wan, they're still good in him. He never knows that. As far as I'm aware, Vader never finds out what Padme thinks, how that happens, anything. And I thought maybe this would have been the time, right? In Obi-Wan's final attempt to bring Anakin back, this might have been the time to bring up Padme or to use that as a Hail Mary. And I'm kind of surprised it didn't happen, especially because she was so prominent in the show otherwise, just by being a presence. But that was kind of the only like question mark I had of why that wasn't done.
Yeah, I'm not one to complain. I'm not one for predictions, but I did predict, and I am going to complain about lack of Padme. I didn't feel like I wanted more of her presence in the story. I thought it was really odd at Celebration that she just was totally not discussed during the Attack of the Clones panel. I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but she was a major part of the draw into the world for me, coming like, becoming aware of Star Wars around the time of the prequels. And I mean, she was the main character of the prequels to me. And when you look at Anakin's development, I mean, she was the driving point. She was the thing he cared most about, that was used to draw him down this path. And it was always supposed to be for her. It's the first thing he asks when he comes up in the in the full suit for the first time. And going into this episode, I figured that we would see Obi-Wan win the battle just because he loses the first and third, we know. And I didn't expect so much physical strength to come out of him. I was anticipating more of like emotional maturity and him bringing information to that encounter that would offset the power that we're seeing from Vader. And so that's what I thought was going to happen, and it didn't happen. But the mask and the voice switching was really cool and really good. But I think that once the newness and the coolness of it wears off, that's going to be my biggest challenge with the entire series. Is just, where's Padme?
Is she all right?
Well, but just that she was so important to his storyline, and I do think it was just the right amount of information from Obi-Wan to Leia about her parents. I thought that was really beautifully done. Instant classic scene right there. But that after Revenge of the Sith, we really never see Anakin / Darth Vader grapple with Padme at all, which seems out of character based on what you see, because his whole first 3 movies is all hyper focused on Padme. It's fine. I'll stop talking about
Have
it.
I got some comics for you to read? Is what I'll say.
Yeah.
Not to say
No,
that
no,
shouldn't be on live action, but
no. I'm totally with you though, because it's like, I'm not. Man, I love this confrontation between the two of them, and I think the writing is incredible, and I love it. But also, it's one of those things where I'm still, and maybe this is a good thing, in time. Maybe it's good that it's not super obvious to me right away on the first day I've ever seen it, but I'm not totally sure what each of them is trying to accomplish, completely. Because I'm like, does Vader want to kill Obi-Wan? I'm not completely sure that he does. And then what does Obi-Wan want to do? Because I would think, almost like you're saying, I would think Obi-Wan would come there and think, what can I do to get through to him? Like, what information do I have that I could share? And Padme, of course, like that would be something that would be really powerful to tell him about, to try to reach him through that kind of emotional appeal or whatever, right? Like, why doesn't he do that? So I'm right there with you. And also, like right now, 2022, I feel like Natalie Portman, like, let's bring her back. Like, why not? Right? I feel like if
she's
this
on the
was
Disney payroll,
2012,
right?
We could
Is.
always use more Natalie Portman.
right. So yeah, so I just feel like there is opportunity there, and if I'm Obi-Wan, I think maybe I go there. So I'm not. Yeah, it's an interesting thing to think about, and definitely a valid critique is why wasn't Padme part of this equation, this battle? I guess there's more that could have been said, but I'm trying to think of it, I guess, from the constraints of where we know it's got to go, which is
Right.
he really has to be, telling Luke in the original trilogy, you got to kill this guy, man. There's no hope for him. Darth Vader murdered your father, and they did kind of, I think, and it wasn't super heavy handed.
Yeah.
They addressed that. They
Yeah.
sort of, yeah. You think that was successful, Brandon?
Oh, successful, and then also him when he realized that he was lost, calling him Darth as the other little plot hole. Everyone always being like, "Oh, like why is he calling him Darth? That's his title, not his name." Blah blah blah. But in this, it's kind of like an insult, right? Or he's just like, "You're a faceless Sith now. You're just another one of them. You're not you're not an individual." And it makes that line in episode 4 kind of retcon to make like a little bit more sense now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when he says to him, when Anakin, or when Darth says to Obi-Wan, like, I'm not your failure, Obi-Wan, you didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did. There's this like little upturned smile from Hayden Christensen in that moment. Like, yeah, it's like he's relishing it, like, I did that. I killed Anakin Skywalker. I'm Darth Vader, like,
great.
Oh my God. Yeah. Hayden killed it. It was, and the writing was fantastic. But then I'm also thinking to myself, like, okay, so like he's establishing, I'm Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker is gone, he's dead, and that's great in terms of the original trilogy, and it's great in terms of Obi-Wan telling Luke, like, Darth Vader betrayed and murdered your father, etc. Like, all that stuff is great. But then as the scene progresses and Obi-Wan has clearly just destroyed, beaten Anakin or Darth Vader, right? And knowing he did the same thing on Mustafar, and then he was like, all right, I'm gonna leave now, I'll leave you here,
I'm gonna peace out. Yeah. He could have just ended it again, right? He could have just been like, we're done. Like, it isn't interesting. He just walking away, right?
He even says earlier in this episode of this television show, as he's talking to the ether, as he's talking to Qui-Gon, he even says, I don't know if he's gonna die or if I'm gonna die, but this ends today. Right. And then he clearly had the opportunity to end it, as did Darth Vader. And he's like, yeah, I guess I'll just take off. I'll leave you here to commit decades of abuse to the galaxy,
I wonder if it would have been more successful and it would have made sense if they would had the fight, gets all the way to that point, and then Obi-Wan feels in the Force at that moment rather than on the ship that Luke is in danger, and then chooses that as the opportunity to go rescue Luke. That would have maybe solved the issues that we're having right now. If he had just made that decision to save the son rather than the father in that moment.
That would have been
good. That's a compelling thought. Yeah, I like that.
Someone call Deborah Chow. Maybe we can make some tweaks real fast. That can't be that hard to change.